Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. So we're going to react to Hot Takes That Shouldn't Be Hot. This is by Johnny Arnett. Let's get into it.
When it comes to basketball discussions, there are genuine hot takes, where most of the basketball community doesn't share the same view. But then there's an even more specific kind of hot take.
Okay.
It's one that's contrary to the popular belief, but it shouldn't be, because it's a fact and most people don't recognize it as such. Today, I'm breaking down my short list of hot takes that shouldn't be considered as hot. And let me know in the comments what are some of your hot takes as well. First off, Tim Duncan should not be classified as a power forward.
Why not?
Let me be clear. At times in the past, I've referred to Duncan as a power forward, and I've even given him the label of the greatest power forward in NBA history.
As you should.
But after some recent consideration, I've kind of changed my mind on that perspective.
What?
Calling Tim Duncan a power forward is nice if you're a Tim Duncan fan, because it then puts him in a category where we can label him as the greatest ever at that position. But make no mistake, Duncan spent the vast majority of his basketball playing days as a center. Throughout all of his high school days and in his college years at Wake Forest, Duncan was the team's starting center.
Yeah, that is kind
was his
of yeah, that is kind of true. He did play center more than he played power forward. But I mean, when he came into the league, he had to play with he had to play with he had to play with Robinson. He had to play with Robinson. He had to play with the Admiral.
Natural position. The only reason why Duncan
he had to
started
play with
his
David
NBA
Robinson
career at the power forward position was because the San Antonio Spurs already had a perennial all-star center, which was David Robinson. And soon after Robinson
and then they made Tim go back to the 4, and then they brought in niggas like fucking what's his name? Started with an F. His last name started with an F. Was it Fabrizio, something like that? And then they had Tiago Splitter. Remember Tiago Splitter? Garbage ass nigga.
Retired, Duncan assumed his traditional position at the 5 spot. A lot of people don't realize this, but even with Duncan spending a significant amount of time at the power forward position while in San Antonio, he actually spent more seasons in the NBA at the center position than he did at power forward.
Yeah.
When you add in his days in high school and college, then it's not even close. Duncan spent way more time playing at the 5 rather than the 4. On offense, Tim's game has always been a bit of a blend between a traditional center and a power forward, as he was usually willing to push his range out a bit with his signature bank shot. But especially on defense, he's always played as a defensive anchor in the paint and served as the team's primary rim protector, which is a classic trait of a traditional center. The only argument I can see for Duncan being labeled as a power forward is the fact that he played his best seasons at that position while David Robinson was still around. But by that logic, we should also be calling LeBron James a power forward, since that was his position during his peak years with the Miami Heat. And of course, absolutely no one makes the argument that LeBron should
Yeah, but that's short-lived though. That's short-lived. You can't even say that though. That's short-lived. If you've been primarily a small forward your whole career, and at one point in time you was the power forward, and it was short-lived, you can't really say that, bro. Because if that's the case, then we gotta put fucking Russell Westbrook at the shooting guard position, because he played shooting guard a couple of years. There were some points where he had to play shooting guard. There were some points where Dwayne Wade was a point guard. There were times when Allen Iverson was a point guard. Shit. There were times when Vince Carter was a small forward. Tracy McGrady too. So it's a double-edged sword, man. I mean, if it was short-lived, then it shouldn't really count.
Be ranked among the greatest power forwards of all time. From the standpoint of how we rank Tim Duncan on the overall all-time list, and as far as how we appreciate him as one of the greatest players of all time, this topic of his position shouldn't really affect any of that. I just think we should be genuine when discussing the greatest players at each position. And if anything, Duncan should be in the discussion of the greatest centers of all time. What's interesting, though, is the question...
Even if you put him in the center category, he's still going to be top 3. If you really think about it, if you put him in the center category, he's top 3. It's not even up for debate. Considering who your top 3 would be, some would say it'd be Bill Russell, Shaq, and Tim Duncan. Then some would say it'd be Bill Russell, Kareem, and Tim Duncan. Either way, Tim Duncan is top 3, regardless of how you may feel. Tim Duncan is top 3 regardless of, he's number 1 as a power forward and he's top 3 as a center. It don't matter. And if you want to redo the power forward rankings, then it will probably go to Dirk. KG got a good argument. Giannis has a good argument as well, but Giannis is still playing, and Giannis still got years left to prove himself worthy before his career is said and done. So Giannis got a long time to go. But as far as like, if you want to say, it would really be between Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki for right now. But like I said, when Giannis' career is said and done, he could definitely be number 1 if you want to throw Tim Duncan out. But if you're going to keep Tim Duncan in, then it's Tim Duncan regardless. It's Tim Duncan regardless.
Of who becomes the greatest power forward of all time if we justifiably remove Tim Duncan from the conversation. Suddenly, it becomes a very competitive race. Let me know who is your choice in the comment section below.
Chuck and Carl
My next
fall
hot
down to the
take
bottom.
that shouldn't be hot is that the gap between Paul Pierce and Dwayne Wade isn't all that big.
And I've been one of the people that defended Paul Pierce when he said what he said. He said his career and Dwayne Wade's career, it really ain't that far between. And I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with his argument. He has a great case. He has a great case. You know what I'm saying? He may only have 1 ring, and Dwayne Wade may have a winning record over him in the Boston Celtics, but that was with LeBron and Chris Bosh. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, though. Like we not gonna sit up here and act like Paul Pierce wasn't that nigga, bro. We not gonna sit up here and act like Paul Pierce didn't get stabbed at a nightclub, in the hospital, had to get stitches and surgery, and then came back and played all 82 games of the regular season and took his team all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Not only that, he knocked off the previous Eastern Conference champions, which was the Philadelphia 76ers with Allen Iverson. You got to give Paul Pierce his props, bro. That was a crazy season, bro. That's when people started to take Paul Pierce seriously, bro. For real. I got to start putting some respect on Paul Pierce's name.
Pierce was the one who initially lit the internet on fire when he made this comparison. And not just Jalen Rose and Michelle Beadle, but seemingly everyone was continuously roasting him for it. Even after all the public shaming, Pierce recently doubled down on a podcast, as he clearly believes he's on that level.
Put Shaq on my team, put LeBron and Bosh with me. I'm not gonna win one. You don't think?
Y'all winning at least 4. Y'all winning at least 4. Hey, if you put Paul Pierce on that Miami team and you take Dwayne Wade off, they win all 4 championships. I'm pretty sure they would win all 4 championships. They would win all 4 championships. That's not even a theory. That's a fact. They would win all 4 championships. Dallas is getting swept. because Paul Pierce would have showed up in that fourth quarter. You didn't need LeBron. All you needed was Paul Pierce. LeBron could have just facilitated. Paul Pierce would have got them there. OKC, when LeBron gains his confidence and stuff like that and starts to become a better version of himself, hell yeah. By that point, with Paul Pierce still in his prime and Chris Bosh coming into his own and figuring out his role with the team, hell yeah. They winning all 4 of them championships, and LeBron probably doesn't go back to Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love. That's a fact, my nigga. That's a dangerous trio right there. Chris Bosh, LeBron James, Paul Pierce. That's a dangerous combination right there.
And Bosh, we're not gonna win one.
Yeah,
we're not gonna win a couple. Like, who's the better 3-point shooter?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Is he a better scorer? Is he a better scorer?
Listen, like most people, I'm taking D Wade in that comparison.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade, most
clearly
definitely
the more accomplished player,
most
and
definitely.
he was also the better defensive player.
Facts.
But again, the gap isn't as big as many people think.
Not at all.
And I have no problems with Paul Pierce believing this. I mean, Pierce does make some valid points. He was a better 3-point shooter than Wade, and as far as an overall scorer, Pierce wasn't just good, but he was one of the very best. Over a 5-year stretch, from the 2000 to 2001 season through the 04 to 05 season, Pierce was 3rd overall in scoring. He scored more points in that 5-year stretch than Shaquille O'Neal, Dirk Nowitzki, Vince Carter, and Kobe Bryant.
Paul Pierce
Many
was a
of those
problem,
players
bro.
were often torched on the court as well, like when he dropped 42 points against Shaq and Kobe while earning the nickname The Truth. Or like when he dropped 50 points on LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2006. He was also a very explosive scorer when he needed to be, like when he dropped 46 points in the second half alone against the New Jersey Nets in 2001. Like Pierce mentioned, during his prime years, he didn't have the luxury of playing alongside of Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. Sure, he had some quality help, like a co-star in Antoine Walker.
They never built
but
around
it wasn't
him.
until he got legitimate Hall of Fame help that he immediately won a championship at the age of 30. Ultimately, I'm taking Wade over Pierce. But unlike most people, I'm not laughing at Pierce or mocking him for believing this.
Not at all.
He was certainly good enough.
People need to
warrant this kind
understand.
of
Pierce was a
confidence.
problem, bro.
My last hot take that shouldn't be hot is that Larry Bird was actually an elite defensive player. For those of you
How's this a hot take? Everybody knows Larry Bird is a good defender. Everybody knows Larry Bird is a good defender. This is not a hot take, bro. Where you get this idea from? Who said Larry Bird was a terrible defender? Nobody says Larry Bird is a terrible defender. Nigga, you can go look at his 2K stats. He's not a terrible defender, bro. Everybody knows Larry Bird is a good defender. This is not nothing new. The fuck is you talking about?
you who have been longtime viewers of my channel, you've certainly heard me talk about this several times before. Unfortunately, so many people still don't get it, so I'm including it again in another video. For some reason, when you get an unathletic looking white guy, people just automatically assume
Bruh,
he can't play
everybody
defense.
knows Larry Bird
It's not
was a
just
good
Larry
defender.
Bird who suffers from this. Dan Marley is often a player who is criticized as a plumber from the Jordan era, when in reality, Thunder Dan was incredibly fit and was one of the best defensive players.
That's
of
them
his
kids
era.
that wasn't
But
born in
back
the
to Larry
90s. That's some
Bird.
2000
Larry
babies.
Legend was the leader of the Boston Celtics throughout the 1980s.
That's some Percocet
who were
babies.
consistently among the best teams in the league defensively. That wasn't mere coincidence, as Bird was known for playing with intensity, energy, and effort every time he set foot on the court. And as a leader, he expected the same from his teammates. On an individual level, Bird certainly proved himself as well. In his career, he made 3 All-Defense teams, and in 1983, he tied for 3rd place in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, receiving as many votes as all-time great defenders like Michael Cooper and Bobby Jones. Not only was Bird a solid on-ball defender, but his quick hands and high defensive IQ enabled him to get a ton of steals. And over
Everybody
his
knows
career,
this.
he averaged 1.7 steals per game. From his rookie season until the 1988 season, Bird got nearly 1,300 steals, which is the fourth most in the entire league over that stretch of time.
Everybody
and what's
knows
even
this,
more
though.
impressive is that among non-guards, that was the most in the entire league. Not many players in the history of the NBA have ever got 8 steals in a single game. Larry Bird did that 3 times, including his 9-steal game in 1985, where he nearly had a quadruple-double in only 3 quarters of play. If Larry Legend had played in the 4th quarter of that game, then he likely would be the all-time record holder for the most steals in a single game, which is held by Kendall Gill with a total of 11.
Who?
You also have to consider how Bird was a versatile defensive player, and with his 6'9" frame, he was very capable of guarding multiple positions. When his career began, he actually started as a power forward, guarding some of the strongest players in the league. Due to the emergence of Kevin McHale, Bird eventually moved to the small forward spot and started guarding elite wings. Simply put, way too many people say that Bird was a subpar defensive player, and hardly anyone says that he was an elite defensive player, but that's exactly what he was. At the end of the day, these are just my hot takes that I don't believe should be considered as hot. What are yours? I look forward to hearing your takes in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Yeah, everybody knew Larry Bird was a good defender. That's not nothing new, my brother. Everybody knows Larry Bird's a good defender. People rag on Paul Pierce, but let's be real. Paul Pierce earned his nickname for a reason, bro. And the Tim Duncan argument is understandable, but he's still the best power forward to ever play this game. It's not even up for debate. But anyways, let's just go about doing it for this. So I'll see you on the next video. Tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I'll get back to you. Till then, peace out.